Hi, I'm Mponza Mandem, a PPS technical planning specialist. In my day-to-day, I try and help professionals live the lives that they want to live through effective financial planning. Now, as young graduate professionals, we find ourselves faced with a lot of questions like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where are you going to live? What do you want to do for a career? All these questions can create a lot of anxiety, and the best way to approach them is to answer them for yourself, to yourself first, if that makes any sense. Now, being financially empowered means living the life that you want to live. However, you will only be able to live the life that you want to live if you know what you want out of it. The hardest part is finding out what you want first, and you do that by simply finding out what matters to you. When starting this journey, you need to understand how you yourself interact with money. The question to ask yourself is, how does money make me feel? Do I feel excited because I know I can now do things? Does it provide a sense of security to me? Do I feel somber and sad because it makes me feel like it's going to deplete and I won't have it anymore? Whatever it is, we all deal with money differently and experience it in a different way. Some people are carefree, and to them, money is not even a priority. Then you get the security-driven people, to whom money helps them feel safe and secure. To the givers, they feel good because they can give to others, like the community, for instance. You get those that are driven by status, and money helps them create a positive image about themselves. Then you also get the spontaneous ones, whom money encourages to live in the moment. And finally, the planners, whom money helps them achieve their goals. What's important to note is that there is no good or bad trait or characteristics when it comes to how we interact with money. However, it is absolutely important and imperative to have a balance amongst them all. On our journey, we already have and will continue to go through different stages. We start off as a student, move to the young professional, then the established professional, then a senior professional, and finally, the retired professional. Now that you understand yourself, what do you do with all of this? Well, to get started, we set SMART goals, right? What are SMART goals? These are goals that are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Now, in setting these goals, we're able to answer some of the questions that created an anxiety before, like, how do you want to live? What do you want to do for a living? And you then also look to space them out over a time span. You have goals that you want to achieve within 1 year, within 3 years, 5 years, and some maybe even 10 years. And we also need to then be able to determine how much money do we need to save in order to achieve these goals, and how much money do we need to accomplish these goals. The main reasons why people have money problems in the first place is because they buy things they don't need with money they don't have to impress people they don't even like. What is a proper budget and what does it look like? Well, first and foremost, we need to keep track of our actual expenses. For example, in my day-to-day life, when I started working, we had a canteen. And I knew that every day I would spend not more than 40 Rand every day on canteen food, which made it easy for me to budget 200 Rand a week towards my canteen and 800 Rand a month towards, obviously, my canteen spending. The same thing applied to my fuel spend. I would go and spend only 750 Rand a week on petrol. Not more, not less. And if it got me to a full tank, then great for me. And if it didn't, well, then that's what I was stuck with. But it also allowed me to have an actual figure on what my spending was, which ended up being 3,000 Rand on a 4-week month. So you keep track of actual expenses. You prepare your budget using actual guides and tools where possible. And then you compare your actual spend to the actual budget that you've now put together. And afterwards, you take action. And as easy as that, you just click repeat and you do that over and over again. And that is the best way for us to take control of our money, check our spending needs and wants, and obviously make sure that we don't spend more than what we have. The next step is to understand that debt sucks, and it's important that we get rid of it first. It becomes nearly impossible to build wealth if you are indebted. Now, some of us might come out into the working world with student debt. Some of us might already have clothing accounts from varsity days and other debt like that. So it's important to try and get rid of that debt as quickly as possible. It's also important to discern between good and bad debt, as not all debt is bad, right? So when we speak of good debt, we're speaking about long-term debt. Things like bonds and car finances. These are assets that we cannot buy with cash right up front, but instead can take longer-term loans with lower interest rates that can be fixed to allow for us to be able to afford these things. So these are normally assets that would yield an income, and also assets that increase our ability to earn, like a car that would allow you to get from point A to B in order to function. Then we look at our bad debt. This is more short-term debt, right? This is a lot easier to access. So things like credit cards, retail accounts, and short-term loans. These are a lot easier to access, but also have exorbitant and high interest rates. And these are mostly the main reasons why people have debt problems. You use them to purchase consumable goods. How do you know if you are already over-indebted? Well, you can't afford minimum monthly installments. You use savings to pay for your bills. You extend repayment terms. Use new loans to pay off old loans, and you max out all your credit limits. These are all the behaviors and characteristics of somebody who is highly indebted, and we have to try by all means to avoid these. And if you are indebted, then we need to set up a budget and a plan to make sure that we can get you out of debt so that we can appropriately build wealth. Having established your goals, tracking your spending, and managed our debt, the next steps are simply building an emergency fund, investing with goals in mind and starting to contribute towards our retirement, protecting ourselves against unforeseen risk, and finally securing our legacy. And these are all the steps that we'll discuss in the next module.